But I am wearing my face mask. Just a little bit of heat. Like I said, I don't want to melt anything, but it sure does seem to help loosen things up. Just a little bit. So while that is cooling down after I heated it up, and it's just never enough heat, I'm telling you, I'm going to try to push the bearing off this axle shaft with my little 20-ton press.
No sweat. Link there. Readjust.
For the last little bit, I'm using a hardened socket. Also stuff nobody tells you because you shouldn't do it, but I need to get this pulled apart. And out. So I'm going to take the bearing and the bearing pieces, like these flanges that hold it in. Sorry, I know I'm a little wiggly here. I'm going to put them in my ultrasonic cleaner. Highly recommend if you don't have one for parts cleaning. And I just get degreaser at one of the like Sam's Club at Costco. Pour it in there, let it cook. That's that. Okay, seriously, watch this. I just unbolted this left center and I'm just pulling. Not even really pulling that hard. Oh, oh, thank goodness. Sweet. Now we'll try the other side. I am hoping so much that it goes the same way. This is getting serious. So I decided I need to get this cluster out of the way. And it's just for kind of carriage bolts. But then it wouldn't come free. So I drove out, it's got these cotter pins either side. I was like, well, then maybe I can kind of shunt this to one side and get the mount off. But you can't, and you can't slide it back because this end of the frame is boxed in. I mean, I'm afraid to just, probably no other way. Want to bend anything, but at this point I think I'd rather make a new bracket for this stupid thing. Keep playing with this. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. Oops, I'll lose that. And the shims. So I did bend it a little bit. I'll fix that, but I still got to get it back in there. But this is all welded solid. Well, we'll worry about that later. Whew. That wasn't fun. I'm not gonna lie, that really hurt. I think I deserve something to drink. I think I'm actually gonna have to go with something strong, really strong. Oh, okay, I'm better. So now I realize there's a hole right there, right? And I might have been able to push the inner shaft out. I mean, I tried to push it to one side, but I didn't realize there was a hole there. So if you're trying this on your own, see if you can get the inner shaft out of the way, and then maybe you can just leave all those brackets and stuff. But that's how we learn. Oil caught on fire. So I've been working on this most of the day. Then I got mad. Fired up my gas torch. I'm pretty sure I'm going to replace all these bushings and bearings anyway. So like, well, let's just get it out of the way. I wasn't filming. And that's when all the grease lit on fire. Maybe a little plastic. Just like this much plastic. And for sure the rubber gasket that goes in between. Anyway, it deserved it. Needed to be punished. But got it out. The body's really fine. I still can't get this gear set out. Used my porta power on it. That's about half a ton. So 1,000 pounds pressure, nothing. And this is the side that the rear one was really difficult to get off as well. I think they're bent just a little bit. Because the other side I just pulled right out, no big deal. So anyway, that's the update. Okay, another day in the shop. Some things I realized: I cannot get this shaft off that gear set. And I had such a difficult time with the one right behind it. I think they got hit and bent. This one in particular, I think it's really, really bent. I cannot get that off to save me. I'm gonna have to cut the axle off and try to get the gear set separate, and then hopefully I can press it off with the press. Either have to find a new axle or see if I can clean up the end, maybe put another pipe inside, weld or have it welded, make sure it's straight, then it'd be all new pipe. But you know, you can't have a wheel going funny, so it has to be dead straight. But if you put another piece of pipe in that's the exact inside diameter, that should hold it straight. Bevel the outside and then weld it, and then weld it and weld it again. Then I might be able to put it on the lathe and clean it up, or go to my uncle's and use his lathe. He's got a better lathe. Anyway, that's the plan. But good news is, so I looked at the old bearings, and even after cleaning them up in my ultrasonic cleaner, you could rotate them and it was still super crunchy. Really, really crunchy in there. So I decided to just replace them. So I found these at a place called Whistler Bearing. They are part number HC20620R3. These are an upgraded bearing. So the old ones, because they had so much grit in them, I talked to them at Whistler Bearing about these. This is totally sealed, right? Except for where the oil passage is. And on the old one, the oil passage was actually on the back side. It needs to be on the Zert side. So that bearing wasn't even really supposed to be on this side. It should be on the side with the groove. The Zert should be where that groove is. So it feeds directly into that, because the rest of this should fit pretty tightly. And then this is the collar that goes on the side that clamps it down. So we're going to replace all those. I have 4 now. I'm trying to find 2 more. Probably have to redo this axle shaft or find a new one. And it makes me want to take another look at that right rear. But as soon as this gets cut and comes out, I think the frame can come out. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to move it. I do have an A-frame that was my uncle's here. I just don't know. we'll see if I can set that up, but that's where I'm at. Okay, dolled up, coveralls, shoes. I'm going with Norwegian clogs, but they're closed toe. And then I can slip them on. I have my face shield, I have my, okay, I get it. Let's cut something. God, scary cutting parts off. And you saw I already got mad at it, torched all that. Well, hopefully we can get the gear set out now. All right, I took another chunk off on this side, and it should be free now. Perfect. And there's what's left. I had to take another chunk off on this side, right through where that old bearing was that I torched. Anyway, so let's take it over to the press, see if we can get it to move. All right, let's see if we can get this to move. Cross your fingers. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, it's gonna go easy now. Well, this small, one of those central machinery ones, it's a 12-ton. So more than the 1,000 pounds, half a ton that I was pushing on in the frame. And I was just gonna bend the frame. Things are going to start breaking, and I just couldn't get at this without taking the frame apart, cutting welds and stuff, and then I'd ruin the geometry. So I'm just glad this is working. Here's what I think happened. It probably is a little bent. And after all that heating, this whole surface, it was still pretty rusty, but you can see I got penetrant all the way down in there. But you see this little line? I'm wondering if maybe somebody forced the bolt in and put a kind of a nasty burr on either side of it. That wouldn't let it slide, so it still had like a mechanical fastening kind of thing to it. But we're in deep now. We got to find some pipe, find some inner pipe, find somebody who can weld really well, unless I get brave about it.